Thank you very much for staying with us and joining us once again on this channel, Sports 7GH. Nigeria Super Eagles drew 1-1 with South Africa. We are going to watch the full game highlights in the next video. All the goals, highlights, and everything is in the next video, especially the first half of the game, all right? Yes, we are going to watch the full game in the next video, but it looks like right now where he did here, Nigeria cannot qualify to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, especially if they want to do it by being the first place team. Okay, qualifying automatically to the 2026 FIFA World Cup isn't going to happen because right now South Africa is having 6 points gap over Nigeria, and there are just 2 games to go. Easy, 2 games to go, 6 points. It means that Nigeria definitely are not qualifying as a first place team, but then they can find their way to what? To be the second place team and then go through another round of qualifiers. And who knows, maybe they will be there for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Let's go and watch the full highlights of the game in the next video.
Injured, suffering that leg injury against Rwanda. A big blow for the Nigerians, but it has to be reminded that Osimhen, well, he didn't play last time these two teams faced each other. In fact, he has only played 3 qualifiers. So they are familiar with how to win games, or at least how to stick in there without their talisman. Instead, they're relying on Cyril Dessers, the Panathinaikos striker, to come in his place. Fisayo Dele Bashiru, the Lazio right winger or attacking forward, comes also into the starting 11, as does captain William Troost-Ekong. Dropped for that game against Rwanda. He's back into the fold and will definitely want to stake his claim as the starting right centre-back alongside Calvin Bassey of Fulham. Keeping Bafana Bafana out will be Nigeria's one big task. South Africa having scored 13 goals across the qualifiers so far. Nigeria are next with the 8 goals. So both teams do know how to find the back of the net. It is quite clear. But South Africa, far more mercurial in front of goal than anyone else that they've faced so far. Much in thanks to that man you just saw there, Lyle Foster. Scored not only against Lesotho, but against Benin. And the referee gets the game underway. Nigeria in their white kits will be kicking from right to left. Calvin Bassey immediately going for the diagonal. Interesting to see how both teams cope with this pitch. So much been said of it of late. Nigeria, a hugely physical outfit up top. When they get going, they can use their pace, stretch the sinews in their legs. Ola Aina with the long throw and easily clutched in the air by Ronwen Williams. The first touch for the Mamelodi Sundowns goalkeeper. Williams, who recently made his 50th appearance for Bafana Bafana, having debuted under Gordon Egerson. Oh, that's a neat touch. And using the pace to try and get around the outside of the Nigerian defense, but it is a foul. Just showing what Moha Nkota can do. And Bassey, who is starting at left back today for Nigeria, with Benjamin Fredericks in the central position. He just had to be a little bit wary, and Bafana get a free kick there. Nkota just 20 years old, but already showing why he belongs in the big leagues. Bafana taking that free kick a little bit too early for referee Acho his liking. Gabonese official just asking to calm things down and wait for the whistle. Oswin Apollos, the number 7, looks like he fancies this with his right boot, but it could be a left-footed in-swinger as well. Here is Apollos. He does take it, and it's neatly headed out by the Nigerian defense. Back into play, and now Apollos, he thought that he found himself in an onside position, and he did, but it was the touch that led him down in the end. A recent arrival to Orlando Pirates, says he's loving his football right now. South Africa earning another free kick. Sirideses, the Panathinaikos striker, illegally challenging there, and we just see that line that Apollos managed to break again. Unlucky for him that the touch was just a little bit off, but a warning sign for the Nigerian defense. Now South Africa keeping possession. Williams decides to go into the center of the park, but it's picked up by Nigeria. Alex Iwobi tries to turn but runs into traffic. Benjamin Fredericks, who is also one of the youngsters for Nigeria, so highly thought of, plays his football in Belgium with Dender. Gets it again, the Sundowns man. And they still have it, Bafana. Out wide now to number 17, Sipho Mbule. And he wins the throw-in. Mbule, seen as the potential successor to Themba Zwane. Mshishi out injured and with age catching up on him. Hugo Broos has decided to opt for the Orlando Pirates attacking midfielder. The throw-in taken, but easily dealt with, and Bassi will just shepherd it out of play. Calvin Bassi, who's made 3 Premier League appearances for Fulham so far this season. Always a reliable, dependable defender. But more often than not finds himself in the centre-back pairing. Trusted now for his left boot this time. Alex Iwobi stretches play with that pass out to the right-hand side. Ola Aina. And a first test for Samukelo Kabini. Another future star for Bafana Bafana, replacing Aubrey Modiba. And a neat toe in to just edge the ball away from the onrushing Ola Aina. Just having to recover from that tackle, the Nottingham Forest fullback. But he can once again employ that weapon in his arsenal if he manages to get up. But this doesn't look good for the 28-year-old. Ola Aina, a former Premier League champion with Chelsea Football Club back in 2017. Bags of experience. He has the wherewithal, the know-how to drive his team forward. And this will come as a big blow to Nigeria if he has to make way. They do have Bright Osayi Samuel on the bench, the Birmingham City fullback. So the drop in quality wouldn't be there really. But Ola Aina, just as he went down there, seemed to either catch the turf or, well, it's quite difficult to say exactly. He seems to be holding his hamstring. But we'll leave the prognosis to the medical department for now. Score still 0-0 here in Bloemfontein. South Africa showing some neat impetus in the early exchanges. Nigeria trying to grow their way back into this game. And it looks like they will be forced into that early change, just like we thought. Ola Aina shaking his head, and it will be a real frustration for Eric Schell because they were using that long throw into their advantage early on. Something that Ola Aina could do. We'll see if any replacements can also fill in that gap and parachute in. Now Nigeria trying to tussle the ball away from South Africa. Super Eagles get it back in that centre-back position. Kong. Moses Simon with a first chance to attack, and he's completely scuffed that cross. A recent arrival at Paris FC in France And he is used to showing a lot more quality than that, but we'll just see. Yes, it's like we thought. There was a divot there, and the ball just bouncing up, slicing it away for a goal kick. Williams always assured with his distribution. Neat header back all the way from the Nigerians. Mbule gets it under control, passes out to his fullback, Kabini. Out to Apollos. Slightly misplaced, but no problems there for Bafana. Ngezana. And again, the pitch causing a bit of problems here. Williams asking to calm things down. Always useful to have a mature head just leading the back line. There's a little bit of inexperience here. But amongst them, they do manage to defend that properly. Moses Simon asking for that deflection off of Zuko Ndonyela. It's quite difficult to see from that angle. But once again, the ball just bouncing up quite awkwardly, and Williams saying that they need to take the ball just bouncing up quite awkwardly, and Williams saying that they need to take more time on the ball, especially in those defensive areas. Well, you can see how Nigeria want to put the pressure on the Bafana backline. Neat little flick around the corner, but it's well read by Benjamin Fredericks. Now Stanley Nobali, he can use his ferocious boot downfield and has to be well read by the centre back there. Just ahead of Cyril Dessers. Nigeria trying to win that battle, but to no avail. South Africa get the throw in. It's going to be taken by Kabini. Neatly done to feet, and we thought that he might have gotten out of that, Mokoena. It was a foul in the end. It's a lovely piece of skill there, and just gets his ankle tapped. Always lauded for the way that he works his way out of those tight spaces and creates the space for himself, the South African number 4. Around the corner, and Lyle Foster does well to hold it up. But the ball just a bit too much pace on it for Nkota. It was a really beautiful finish that he managed against Lesotho, with his side foot coming in off the volley. New to the national setup, and certainly one to look out for in the future, replacing Tapelo Morena. Throw in now by Zuko, the Sundowns fullback. Nigeria, they'll get the ball back. Alex Iwobi asking his team for a quick throw. Iwobi, who said that Osimhen would be a great miss, but they do have other players who can step in for them. One of the standout performers against Rwanda in what was not the most convincing victory, but a solid one nonetheless. And another foul on the Bafana player. Lyle Foster hits the deck. Troostekong just barging into him from the back. And just misplaced that control, and Nigeria get it back. Wilfred Ndidi passes to Iwobi. This is where Nigeria are dangerous if they can get their passing correct, and it's been a similar tale for both sides so far. The quality in that final ball as they approach the last third, just evading both teams as we speak. Zuko Ndonyelwa with the throw-in. And they've managed to gain a bit of territory here, have Bafana. Osman Apollos as well, with a delightful goal in their previous match. Nigeria have decided to leave Tolu Arokodare on their bench, the player who scored the vital winner against Rwanda. Certainly a weapon that they can employ, and great pressure there on the attacker and turning their midfield as well. And that's a brilliant play from the Super Eagles. Now driving up the line, Samuel looking for options, and a terrific piece of defending there from all three of the Bafana players, and then just unable to get that final pass away. Some truly dynamic pieces of possession from both Nigeria and then from South Africa to win the ball back. And you just see that tussle there, hurried and hassled, and the referee is going to have to calm things down. The tensions are high between these two sides. The battle of Amapiano against Afrobeats, Jollof and Chisanyama, it's all out there on the pitch today. That was Mbikezeli Mbokazi just using his physicality. At only 19 years old, he's one of the future prospects of Bafana. Hugo Broos praising his development at Orlando Pirates. And now really playing with the big boys here. It doesn't come much larger in terms of test than Nigeria. Out to this left wing, Ademola Lookman. And he gets dispossessed, and that's also played into the defender's favor. Ngezana using his experience that he gets in Romania to win that back, and just a bit of calm being called there from his fullback. And a yellow card apiece. Ngezana there, as well as Ademola Lookman. Nacho Rizlen, the referee, stamping his authority early on the match. And you have to say at that point, it will hurt the South Africans more to receive that than the Nigerians. Having a forward player who doesn't necessarily have to make the tackles, those last-ditch efforts to get the ball. Now Ngezana finds himself on an early yellow card. Iwobi and Ndidi, and now South Africa come out with the ball, looking to find options on this left-hand side. And they can go for the long raking diagonal if it is controlled. Nkota needs support. He's got two Nigerians on him. He still manages to find his man. South Africa still come through here, looking across, and it's just taken another unfortunate bounce, and Nigeria survive. But Bright Samuel's given it away. South Africa could be in here. Nwabali with an excellent save. And we will just see if there was an offsides flag raised here. But that moment of hesitation from the substitute, Bright Samuel, and there you did see Foster, as that shot was taken by Apollos, was just in front of the last man, and it wouldn't have counted had he found the back of the net. But Nigeria will certainly be looking over their shoulder. They have to go for this game, lest we remind you the Super Eagles can't leave anything out on the pitch. Ndidi, and that's a bit of a painful one, has his toe stood on. Recently made the move to Besiktas from Leicester City for an €8 million fee. And just slightly gets trod on there by Sipho Mbule. Now, Moses Simon gets it into the left wing. A simple defensive header out, and once again, Bafana holding their lines, but Nigeria can attack again. Fredericks. Crosses play now to Kelvin Bassey. Iwobi, noticeable by their long locks. The two English-based players. In fact, the two Fulham-based players are now recently joined by Samuel Chukwueze, who's on the bench. 3 players for Fulham FC in the United Kingdom. It's quite difficult for both sides to control that ball. You can see the pitch really affecting play as things stand. Moses Simon, he does have some good pace about him, but decides not to challenge there against Zuko, who raises his fist in triumph there. It was quite a blow seeing Sydney Mobi. And as you see there in your picture, there is rain coming down in the Free State, and we have had warnings of lightning also. So if the game is disrupted, it shouldn't come as too much of a shock. But Nigeria looking to break the line and cause some lightning and thunder of their own. South Africa surviving that little scare and need to turn around as well. Now what can they do? Bafana. Here's Lyle Foster coming out from the right wing, from the left wing rather. Here's Foster, lays it off. He needs to get into the box though, the Burnley man. It does come across. He could be there, Foster. And somehow Nigeria get their toes in front of the ball and poke it out to safety. Some end-to-end stuff here. And that's what we do expect for these two teams. Ngezana, he found the pressure on himself from the on-rushing Moses Simon. It is pelting down, and there you go, the flashes of lightning. It is, of course, up to the referee to call a halt to proceedings. For now, everything seems to be okay and in order, but it could change very soon. That foul there from Mbule. He's getting his leg stuck in, but not a fair challenge. Back into the midfield and neatly worked through. Batusi Obas back into the side today. Used as a midfield anchor alongside Tebogo Mokoena. They're so used to it for Sundowns, and now trying to come around the outside again, stretching the legs. And Bright Samuel managing to shepherd that out. Always the stern look of Hugo Broos, calculating methodically in his head as to the next moves. So far, it does suit South Africa. They would climb to 17 points with a draw. And they do have Zimbabwe and Rwanda to face. Zimbabwe away and Rwanda at home. As for Nigeria, it's all needs must. Another foul there, this time Moses Simon receiving that spot kick for his efforts. Ngezana, his 8th appearance, the 2-time Defender of the Year in Romania. And now South Africa trying to break that line again, coming on the outside. Oh no, it's disastrous. It's disastrous for William Twistekong. He's put it into his own net. And South Africa are 1 goal to the good. And it's a present from the man that sunk Bafana just a couple of years ago. It all came through that blistering break. He's come into the side, having been dropped because of a previous mistake. And that is a nightmare scenario for Nigeria's captain. Just look at that pace there from Nkota. Completely outdone there. Tebogo Mokoena with the pass, the vision. And it was just all too slow from William Troost-Ekong to adjust his body position. Nothing really that Stanley Nwabali could do about that. But the coaching staff of Bafana Bafana won't mind one, but how it goes in. They are 1 goal ahead here in Bloemfontein this season, the Premier Soccer League in South Africa for Chippa United. But there was absolutely nothing that he could do when the ball was so elegantly placed past him by his own man. Here's Moses Simon trying to respond almost immediately. And despite the rain, it's not going to dampen the parade here for the Bafana Bafana supporters. Calvin Bassey now to Alex Iwobi, trying to effect something, going straight into the box. The defense does head it out though. And somehow it does find the feet of Mokoena. Ngezana out wide to the wing here. Very neat skill. And still managing to keep it alive, and just didn't get the return pass there. Sipho Mbule. The Nigerians remonstrating for what appears to be a South Africa advantage, possibly for a handball. And we will get a closer look here. No, it was indeed a foul by Wilfred Ndidi. Mbule, to his credit, staying on his feet. But the linesman, Tsoga Marlez, deciding that it did still warrant a foul. Mbokazi belying his age with a very mature performance so far, the 19-year-old Pirates centre-back, and there he goes again. Excellent composure to find the midfield and playing the ball to feet. Kabini back into his defenders. Passes it on to Ndonyelwa. Ngezana trips as he goes over and headed back in by Fredericks. But the possession all with South Africa as things stand. Nigeria yet to really click. Lyle Foster has already scored his first goal of the qualifiers last time out against Benin and Lesotho. And a brilliant home crowd here in full voice. They are used to it with the likes of Free State Stars and Bloemfontein Celtic having occupied these stands. Moses Simon, Nigeria having to contend with it, nearly going through there with Ademola Lookman. Last year's African Player of the Year. Yet to play a game for Atalanta this season, given his transfer mishaps with Bayern Munich. It was expected that he would move to the German champions, but that transfer falling through, and he's been unable to get any game time since then. Possibly a little bit rusty so far this match. Williams. He'll relish keeping the ball for as long as possible. Receives the ball back again, the 33-year-old. And just have to be a little bit wary with the way that they keep the ball in that midfield pocket. But South Africa come out with it. And Nwabali watches it harmlessly go out for a goal kick. It is 1-0. William Troost-Ekong's own goal. The difference between the two sides as things stand. Eric Shell, this is only his 9th match in charge of Nigeria, and that does include the African Nations Championship. Ngezana, Tuzuko, Looks for his attackers down the line. It's headed back out by Wilfred Ndidi here on the left-hand side. A deep crossfield pass, and it is neatly collected there by Kabini. Mbukazi. 5 appearances so far in the PSL for Pirates this season, and into the final of the MTN 8. If you're good enough, you are old enough, and vice versa. He's still wanted by the South African under-20s for their World Cup campaign. Now has to watch out here, but Obas manages to get out of trouble, no problem. Again, going for that diagonal. Should be well dealt with by Calvin Bassey, but doesn't get it to his man. And Nigeria, just struggling to retain that possession like they want. Moses Simon out in this left-back slot now. Unable to really come to grips with the ball. It is very slippery conditions, lest we remind you. The rain has been pelting down here in Bloemfontein. But at least for now, the match hasn't stopped yet for Lightning, so it is very much expected to proceed as expected. Benjamin Fredericks. Alex Iwobi looks for space, finds Calvin Bassey. Partnership made in England, cultivated in Nigeria. But now they've let go of the ball, playing it into that space and using Nkota's young legs. The cross comes in first time, and it's easily dealt with. Nigeria now driving it into the center of the park. Looking out wide. A rare touch for Fisayo Dele Bashiru. Goal scorer the last time these two teams met. It was Themba Zwane who scored the opener for South Africa in Nigeria. It was a brilliant goal. As was Bashiru's striker. 2 goals of real quality. And now we've already seen an own goal. One which was, you can say, pressurized by South Africa. Nwabali goes for the long goal kick. Comes out to Moses Simon. Back into Iwobi. 10 goals for Nigeria. His last, though, back in 2022 for the Fulham man. And how he will be desperate to get on the score sheet today. Wilfred Ndidi, and he gets the ball picked off his feet as well. Now Lyle Foster running into space. Foster, can he control the ball? No, and it does go out for a goal kick. Excellently done once again by the 20-year-old Benjamin Fredericks. Six appearances in Belgium so far this season. And it just shows. And Obas does brilliantly there to win the ball back as well. The referee is saying get up to the Nigerian attacker. Mbule. Back to Obas. Playing it short between them. No rush, no hassle. Zuko. To Siyabonga Ngezana. Ronwen Williams happy to, again, keep the ball close to his feet. Playing it across the lines. It's not the most foolproof strategy, but it does work there for Bafana. Now Lyle Foster hassling there with Calvin Bassey. That's a good battle as well. 2 physical specimens. Bassey does get his possession pick there. But it's okay for him, at least. Wilfred Ndidi there to sweep up. Ekong. Finds Bashiru out wide. Ademola Lukman, one of the solitary goal threats for Nigeria, you would imagine, in this match. Osimhen does provide that focal point. And they do have men on the bench who can affect things, as we say. Brilliantly turned again by Mbule. The Pirates man finding the space excellently out on the left wing. Osman Apollos is looking for it, but it just goes behind him. A pass there by Simon. And Nigeria, maybe they can break here. Ndidi out to the right-hand side. Ndidi still has it. And finally, Nigeria with some maintained possession play. Bassi, but now the entire Bafana team has dropped deep behind the ball. The cross might come in though, but it doesn't meet or beat the first man. Again, the defense very much on Song Mbule. Outright to Nkota. The Al Ettifaq man taking on Calvin Bassi. And the foul given for the push in the back. A mismatch in strength and size. So Nkota relying on his pace. And certainly longer studs probably needed from both sets of players in this terrain and under these conditions. At least for now, the deluge that we saw earlier on has subsided. So it is just a waterlogged pitch, but not too bad. At least these low-felt showers don't last for too long. They are vicious when they do occur. Throw in now for Nigeria. Well, we thought it was actually off the Super Eagles player. And Zuko receives it again. For all the changes in the Bafana defense from that match against Lesotho, the replacements have so far gelled seamlessly into their positions. Hold at the back, and the referee deciding not to put wind through the whistle. Now to feet, and Apollos lays it off for Mokoena. Looks for the run again, but it's read this time by Bashiru. Now the space opens up in front of Iwobi. He does have men out on his left and right. Moses Simon's the one who picks it up and decides to go early. And that was a remarkable process. How it ended up being a bit of a surprise for Ronwen Williams. Just chested down. Oh, there we go again. The field playing its part. Just a warning for the Bafana goalkeeper not to lose any kind of concentration here. Now just ahead of the fullback, and now Nigeria can run in. And it is a corner kick, the first of the match for the Super Eagles. This is where they can show their prowess and indeed their power, the physicality of the Super Eagles. Something that the South Africans will be wary of. They don't have the height of Tolu Arokodare on the field right now. He's still on the bench at 1.96 m. But they still have some imperious threats, the likes of Calvin Bassi, who's just getting involved right now with the Batusi Obas. Once again, the referee asking for calm. And the Nigerian players all bunched together. And that looked like a foul in the box, but it is headed out by the striker of South Africa, Lyle Foster, looking for the break. Doesn't come their way. Still with just under 5 minutes left until the end of the first half. South Africa will be quietly happy with the way that this has gone for them so far. Nigeria with a lot more quality and possession needed to affect the game their way. Here's Troost Ekong. There's one man to do it. It is Alex Iwobi. Spreads the ball out wide. Moses Simon waits for the overlapping fullback. Decides to hang the ball up in the air. And he has to make do with another corner kick. The strength of Ademola Lookman just harassing Ngezana. Off of his shoulder, and it does go out for another corner. So finally Nigeria showing some promise in these last exchanges ahead of the half-time whistle. The referee looking, and Ronwood Williams just barking orders for his defenders. Another chance for the ball to come in, and it's going to be a second successive corner. This time ricocheting off Mokoena. A lot of argy-bargy going on in the center of the 18-yard area. The corner kick coming in, yeah. And again, very well headed out by the South African defense. And the advantage is waved on. Immediately released. Nwabali in the right place at the right time to just feed off the scraps and sweep up. And Kota, such a effective outlet. Blistering pace there from the former Pirates player. Again, trying with the trickery. The ball just not sticking quite yet on the turf. For both teams, that is, and the interception working to good effect. Just launched upfield. More like a box kick, and Nwabali, again, just bailing out the defense. Kong a little bit slow on the uptake. And Fredericks showing his quality once again. Certainly a future star for the Super Eagles. Calvin Bassey into the midfield. Decides to continue with the run, and Bassey picks it up. You thought for a second it might just drop kindly to the striker. Lookman asking for a little bit of movement from his winger. Here come Nigeria around the outside, chipped over the top, and this should be a goal. Nigeria have equalized right at the end of the first half. Calvin Bassey rising highest. And it was all through the efforts around that wing of Fisayo Dele Bashiru. The Nigerians showing exactly why they're so dangerous in those areas. Bafana's defense bullied there. Lookman was asking for the run, and just around the outside of Kabini, he let the cross get away from him. And somehow the ball ends up in the back of the net. Calvin Bassey's headed down. It seemed off of his own player, Dessels. And that will suit the Super Eagles very nicely indeed. Back in the game, it's 1-1. And Eric Shell has come out of his shell. It all started with Ademola Lookman, the Atalanta forward. And this makes the spectacle much better already. Nkota, can South Africa respond? Tries to get the ball in. Nkota again goes to Nwabali. But the Chippa United goalkeeper is equal to it. And just there, we do have the injury time at the end of the first half. Intriguing in nature. And one which we expected to be tight has certainly proved that way. It is 3 minutes of allotted injury time. And we just see this goal again. Calvin Bassey, well, upon reflection, it looks like an arm could have been used there. We don't have video assistance here. Nigeria very much profiting off of that. Moses Simon. And Bafana get the ball back, stealing it back. Nkota neatly done into the midfield spaces. Mbala. And now he's lost the ball. A little bit of danger here for South Africa. Nigeria very much growing into this. Simon into the midfield. He receives it again. Just a little chip over the defender. Ndidi. And it still bounces kindly for the Super Eagles. Right place at the right time in the centre-back pairing there. The header goes out. Nigeria finishing very strong here. Is the shot on? He still has it, Bashiru. Slipping, but still making up for it. Just 30 seconds left of this first half.
All right, yes, that's how the game ended. Right? Far away in Bloemfontein. Fantastic game by all standard. A lot of goals. About 2 goals and a lot of action. A lot of fierce rivalry. All right. Yes, I'm a piano versus Afrobeat. Yes, fantastic game by all standard. But of course, Nigerians must keep supporting the team. Is that not to keep supporting the Super Eagles so that they can get a second place team in a group and possibly go through another round of qualifiers to get to the 2026 FIFA World Cup in USA, Canada, and Mexico. Do want to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification bell and select all. Definitely, I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.